Hello again. I'm going to be reading chapters 6 and 7 of Summer in Orcus by T. Kingfisher. The links to the author and where to purchase the book are in the comments below. Chapter 6. It was a long, long night. She walked for hours, or it felt like hours. The sand stars lit her path. She blew her breath out in a white cloud and pretended to be a dragon. There was not exactly a path, but if she kept the highest mountain in front of her, it was easier. She wandered off course once or twice, when the horizon vanished behind the ridge, but she would come up to the top and correct herself. They were in the desert now, though like no desert she'd ever seen. Instead of wide, sweeping dunes, there were rocks and stones and low, scrubby bushes. The ferns seemed a distant memory. When she had walked for a few hours, she began to see cactuses. Great big saguaros, like the ones in cartoons. They were 20 or 30 feet tall, with dozens of arms. She was very tired, and had been walking forever. The stars overhead and the stars underfoot spun together, until she seemed to be walking across galaxies. Perhaps the stars in the sky were scorpions too. In Summer's world, there were giant flaming balls of gas, but who knew about this place? Maybe the sky was a great black desert, and when she reached the highest mountain, she would walk up and into it. "Sit down," said the weasel, "and have a drink of water. You're giggling a little too much, and you're starting to worry me." She sat down on a boulder and had a drink of water. Her head cleared a little bit. She dripped a little into the bottle's cap and let the weasel drink it. "No one knows where I am," she thought. "Well, except the weasel. And no one is expecting me to be somewhere. No one is going to come looking for me if I don't arrive." She took another sip of water. She knew she should be afraid, and she was, a little. But she also felt free. There was a sand star a few yards away, under the curve of a prickly pear cactus. The light gleamed off the flat pads and winked on its pale thorns. A movement caught her eye. As she watched, an owl walked past her on long, scaly legs. It walked right up to the sand star. Summer held her breath. Did owls eat scorpions? It spread its wings and bowed to the sand star very deeply. The sand star flexed its tail, then bowed back, fanning its claws. The light bounced and shattered across the cactus's thorns. The owl walked away. She lost sight of its shape in the mass of quiet shadows. The scorpion didn't move again. "Come on," said the weasel. "Let's get moving again." Eventually the sun came up. Summer became aware of this because the stars started to fade out. First the stars in the sky, and then the ones on the ground. It made her very nervous, because she didn't know whether she was about to step on one or not. But even after the last sand star went out, there was a gritty gray light on the horizon. The highest mountain stood out sharp and clear. "Dawn," said the weasel, standing on her shoulder. "It'll be an oven here soon." "You didn't say anything to the sisters," said Summer, who was tired of the vast silences of the desert. "No, I didn't." The weasel stretched himself like a very small cat. "Why not?" He lifted his small shoulder in a shrug. "Oh, well, they seemed pleasant enough. But seeming isn't everything. And they smelled like shape changers. Real animals and shape changers don't always get along." "They don't?" This was news to Summer. She had wanted to be a shape changer, specifically so she could talk to animals. It hadn't occurred to her that the animals might mind. "Oh, some of them aren't bad. I knew a fellow who spent half his days as a hawk. He was fine enough, as long as he wasn't hungry. But some of them don't move right, and they don't smell right, and they wear their skins wrong. You want to watch out for people who don't wear their skin correctly." The weasel rubbed his face on her shoulder. "Some of them don't mean any harm, poor souls. But some of them, they'll have you by the throat before you can say rabbit." Summer kept walking. The sun came over the horizon now. Although the air was still chilled, she was sweaty under the blanket. But her face and the tip of her ears were cold. It was a very strange sensation. The cactuses threw long, long shadows across the land. "Is it true what they said about Baba Yaga?" asked Summer. "True?" asked the weasel. "True enough. They said less than they might have, and a great deal less than they could have. It doesn't pay to talk about Baba Yaga behind her back." "Oh." Summer thought about that. "How did you wind up in her house? Did she offer you your heart's desire?" "Not hardly," said the weasel, sounding very annoyed. "How then?" "The witch's house lays eggs sometimes," said the weasel. "I tried to eat one." Summer wrinkled her forehead. "But it's a house. Wouldn't its eggs be enormous, bigger than me?" "So I'm ambitious," said the weasel. "Nothing wrong with ambition, is there? Shoot for the moon, everybody says. If you miss, you'll land among the stars." He spat. A motion almost too tiny for Summer's eyes to follow. "Pfft! I suppose, if you miss, you'll be captured by a great bloody hag out of legend and stuffed into a coat pocket for weeks." Was too much of a mouthful. Summer had no idea what to say to that. "I'm sorry?" "It's not your fault," said the weasel. "Also, we're being followed." "No, don't look." Summer froze. What do we do?" she hissed at the weasel. "Keep walking," said the weasel. "Make light conversation, if you please." He raised his voice. "Lovely day for a stroll in the desert, isn't it?" Sure, I guess." "Stop at that rock up ahead," he whispered. "Have a sip of water and look around, casual-like. You don't expect to see anything. You're just looking at the scenery, understand?" Summer nodded. She stopped at the rock and fumbled with the water bottle. "And you can pour me a little while you're at it." She did, The weasel's tiny pink tongue flicked in and out of the water, and Summer scanned the desert, looking for somebody or something. "I don't see anyone," she whispered. The weasel interrupted his drink just long enough to say, "The way we came, higher up the mountain, by the 3 cactuses standing together." She found the cactus. There was a rock. A shaggy rock. A rock with ears? I think it's a donkey. "Burrow, out here," said the weasel. "Might be your friend from earlier. I thought she smelled like a shape changer." "Should I wave?" asked Summer. "No. If it's her, she knows you're you. And if it's not, there's no sense in letting on that you've seen it." "Could a burrow really do something bad to us?" "It could kick you halfway to perdition if it felt like it." The weasel cleaned his shoulder with his tongue. "Rather like giant rabbits in that regard. Keep walking. The way station has to be somewhere." She kept walking. "2 of them now," said the weasel after a few minutes. "The other one's a javelina." "A what?" "A desert pig," said the weasel, "like a wild boar. I'm guessing it's your other friend, which means there should be a bear after us shortly. Now, won't that be nice?" But Bearskin did not appear. The boar and the donkey flanked them for an hour, and then melted away into the desert as quietly as they had come. Summer was a little sad when they left. She couldn't have crossed the desert by herself, probably. She was 11, after all, and had the weasel besides. But it was still nice to know that there were people around, in case she fell off a cliff or stepped on a rattlesnake. They came upon the way station with very little warning. There was a stand of cottonwood trees tucked into the next valley, and the sound of water. Summer hurried towards it, and found that the trees grew along the bank of a stream. The stream rushed briskly over tiny pebbles, and on the far side was a little fence, and a large round house the color of butter. On top of the house, in enormous letters, was a sign that read, "Way Station." Summer was quite good at spelling, and she knew that a way station was spelled with an A and no H. Way. W-H-E-Y, on the other hand, had to do with cheese? There was a small bridge over the stream, and at each end of the handrail was a carving of a mouse wrapped around a piece of cheese. "I think this is a pun," said Summer, scowling. She liked puns well enough in their place, but this just stunk to her of the sort of pun that grown-ups would make, expecting a child to find it hysterically funny. It is difficult to walk across an enchanted desert and then be thrust into someone else's sense of humor. They crossed to the bridge and approached the way station. The road ran from the doorway out across the desert as far as the eye could see. "Is this even the right place?" asked Summer. The weasel shrugged and climbed back into her pocket. The door of the way station was made of wood. inscribed over the lintel in elegant script were the words, 1800 Desert Way. All the cheeses that's fit to please. Summer gritted her teeth when she knocked. The door swung open. She poked her head around the door frame and saw an enormous glass counter full of cheeses. A fat man stood behind the counter, wiping it with a cloth. "Hello," he cried. "Hello, traveler. Hello, cheese lover. I am the Waymaster. Come in out of that heat." Summer stepped inside. A little bell went jingle jingle over her head. It looked like a museum of cheese. They were great round wheels, bigger than car tires, and tiny little cubes and trays. There were wedges and slices, and tubs and bricks. There were blue cheese and green cheese, fresh from the slopes of Mare Imbrium, said a sign. A red cheese, a white cheese. There were cheeses made from cow milk, and goat milk, and sheep milk, and unicorn milk, and... "Unicorn milk?" asked Summer. "Every kind of milk," said the man behind the counter. He was tall and broad, and had enormous forearms and bright green hair. Every kind you can imagine, except for platypus. We're out of platypus. "You are?" "Well, there's a problem with our supplier. They're monotremes. They sweat milk through bare patches on their belly. So it's not much like milking, as it's wringing the platypus out like a towel. Expect the monotreme milkers union to go on strike right now. But I could cut you a lovely wedge of Gouda. Same flavor, just not as oily." "Not right now," said Summer. "I was actually looking for..." "Oh, just try a bit. A free sample." He dove into the case, and she heard the clink of a knife. A moment later, he held out a cube on a toothpick. She didn't want to be rude, and she was very hungry. So she took it. She nibbled. It was rich and creamy. She thought it would make spectacular mac and cheese. "It's delicious," she said. "A good seller," said the Waymaster. "One of my favorites. Now, what did you come looking for?" Summer shook herself. She hadn't come here for cheese. I'm looking for the way station." "And here we are," said the green-haired man. "The way station. You found it." "No, not way, but way, without the H. Borskin told me to find it. She said it would be this way." "This way," agreed the man. "Right here, yes. All the cheese you want. Nothing else." He mopped his forehead with the cloth in his hand. A day ago, Summer might have believed him. Even if she hadn't, she wouldn't have said anything. Because if you're a kid, you never argue with a grown-up. But a day ago, she hadn't crossed the desert lit by scorpions. She took a long look at him. The Waymaster started sweating. "Are you sure?" she began. "Very sure. Absolutely sure. Just cheese. Only cheese." Summer folded her arms and tapped her foot, like her teacher, Miss Selina, did when somebody in class was acting stupid. Boarskin said you'd help me find my way. The Waymaster's eyes flicked towards the door. I could get in real trouble, he whispered. I don't do that anymore. I had to repaint my sign and everything. But I need your help, said Summer. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know what this place is called. The Waymaster nodded wretchedly, blotting his forehead again. I can't, he said. I know I should, but I can't. They closed me down, you know. He did. Zoltan. Her lieutenant, you know. I don't know, said Summer. I'm lost. I mean, I crossed the desert, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know where I am. I don't think I'm from this world. That's okay, but I'm looking for my heart's desire, and I need to know how to find it. She almost stamped her foot, but she really wasn't that kind of girl. I can't help you, said the Waymaster. I can't. I won't. I shouldn't. Summer gritted her teeth and said, Baba Yaga sent me. The Waymaster's skin went the color of his cheeses. He put his elbows on the counter and dug his hands into his hair. Oh, me, he said. Oh, me, oh, my, oh. I am the unluckiest man in the world. If I don't help you, the crone will get me. If I do, Zoltan will get me. What do I do? I don't want to get you in trouble, said Summer. I really don't. I just need you to tell me where I'm supposed to go. The Waymaster took a deep breath. He reached into the case and pulled out another cheese and cut off a slice. He popped it into his mouth, and then he cut off another piece for Summer, and another very small piece for the weasel. This one was not the sort of thing you'd put in mac and cheese, but it was delicious nevertheless. It tasted a little like cheddar, and it smelled like freshly mown grass. It crumbled on her tongue, and her stomach warmed. Her skin prickled. She felt taller. Suddenly taller and stronger and braver. She thought she might be able to walk across the desert again if it came to that. Manticore cheese, said the Waymaster. Ripened on the grass where heroes have slept. There's nothing like it for courage. In Summer's pocket, the weasel fluffed himself and lashed his tail. Can I have another piece? asked Summer. Not a good idea, said the Waymaster. Too much of it, and you forget the taste of fear, and that is dangerous. You find yourself charging lions barehanded and other nonsense like that. He straightened up and took a deep breath. Very well, he said. My grandfathers would be ashamed of me cringing like this. We've always found ways, you know. The cheese has been just a side business. If I'm going to be hanged, it might as well be for doing something I did as for something I didn't do. I don't want anybody hanged, said Summer, quite alarmed. Well, we can hope, You are, my dear, on the edge of the sonorous desert, in the land of Orcus. We will see what other information you require as we go. Come behind the counter. He held the curtain aside for her and ushered her into a small room in the back. The room was stuffed with cheese. There were barrels of cheese and more tire-sized wedges of cheese, and a block of Swiss that took up half the room, with holes big enough for Summer to crawl into. Cauldron, muttered the Waymaster. Where did I put that cauldron? I used to have it right here. And he opened the closet, and most of him vanished into it. Summer winced at the sounds of clattering plates and banging crockery. Aha! What he pulled out looked a bit like a cast iron frying pan, only much bigger. It had little metal lion's feet on it, and reminded Summer of Baba Yaga's coat rack. It was stuffed full of cobwebs and covered in rust. There was a forlorn bit of old cheese trapped in the bottom. Summer and the Waymaster gazed into the cauldron together. Is it supposed to do something? Asked Summer. Years ago, said the Waymaster gloomily, time was you so much as poke your head over it, and it would tell you your way. Usually it was one of us by accident, and only so far as to the outhouse or the bathtub. But you'd bring a traveler by, and it would get all excited. Why, ways used to spill out all over. He thumped the cauldron with one finger. It went clunk. Not a drop of magic left in it now, he said sadly. Summer opened her mouth to say something. It's okay, or I'm sorry, or, but what do I do now? She was never quite sure herself afterwards, but anything she might have said was drowned out by a sudden savage pounding on the wooden door. It sounded like a battering ram, like an angry mule kicking at boards. The Waymaster's head shot up so fast that he struck it on a cheese hanging from the rafters. Summer put both hands over her mouth to hide a squeak of terror. "Open!" cried a harsh voice on the other side of the door. "Open for Zoltan Houndbreaker! Open in the name of the Queen in Chains!" Chapter 7. Perhaps it was the taste of the manicore cheese, but the Waymaster didn't hesitate an instant. He turned to Summer, swept her up in his arms, and plunked her down inside the block of Swiss. "Down," he hissed. "Crawl down. Hide." Summer retreated as far as the holes in the Swiss would let her, until there was only a thin light in the distance. She crawled on hands and knees through the deep, creamy darkness until she came into a large chamber near the center of the block. It smelled very strongly of Swiss cheese, which is a pleasant smell in small quantities, and a rather nasty one when you're buried in it. The weasel slid out of her pocket and weaseled his way back the way Summer had come. "I'll watch," he whispered. The hammering on the door started again. I'm coming," shouted the Waymaster. If you'd knock on the door like a normal person, it'd open right up, you know. It's only when people get angry that it gets all nervous and jams. Summer heard the creak of the door open and an angry jangle of the bell over the door. "Making trouble again, cheesemonger?" asked the harsh voice. "Oh, it's you, Grub," said the Waymaster. "What do you want?" "Yes, it's me," said the voice, "and my master's on his steed outside reading a book. And if he has to come inside, he'll lose his place, and Zoltan very much does not like to lose his place. I shouldn't risk it if I were you." "Tell him to bend the corner down or use a bookmark like a sensible man," said the Waymaster, sounding bored. "So, does he want cheese?" "Got quite a good manchango. Settles the bowels. Leads to clockwork regularity. Spare me the sales pitch," said Grub. "We're not here for cheese. He wants to know if you've seen someone hereabouts." "I've seen lots of people," said the Waymaster. "Mostly they buy cheese." "Don't be a fool, cheesemonger," said Grub. Summer couldn't see him, but she imagined a nasty, sly expression and stringy hair. The sniffers picked up a smell. Somebody got through last night. Somebody not from around here. "Good for the sniffers," said the Waymaster, sounding unimpressed. There was a clattering noise and a thump. Summer cringed. It had been a violent sound. "Don't lie to my face, cheesemonger," hissed Scrub. "The sniffers said she came this way. You're telling me someone came across the desert and didn't stop here? Try again." "Fine," said the Waymaster in a shaky voice. "Fine, all right. No need to go hitting me. There was someone, yes. A human girl came through here." "Looking for a way, was she?" Summer could practically see Grub rubbing his hands together. "Yes," said the Waymaster. Summer closed her eyes. Was he going to tell this awful person where she was? They would have a hard time getting her out of the cheese, but no, it was only cheese. They could just hack it to bits and pull her out. "She was looking," said the Waymaster, his voice rising, "and I wish to the great grim gods that I'd given her one. But you've won, Grub. You and your master. I don't do ways anymore. I played the fool and gave her some cheese and sent her back the way she came. Told her to find whoever had sent her to me and ask for better directions. Are you happy?" "Are you sure you didn't give her away?" asked Scrub suspiciously. The Waymaster's laugh could have etched glass. He stomped into the back room. Summer trembled. She heard a clanking of iron. Here's the damn cauldron. Hand it off to the sniffers if you like.